The Ghost Protocol, Part 1, The Architecture of Absence. Movement 1, The Ghost in the Machine. The winter in London didn't just chill the skin, it froze the soul. Elias stood on the balcony of a private skyscraper, watching the city pulse like a dying heart. In his hand, he held a single black chess piece, the knight. The architect's words echoed through the canyons of his mind. Presence is a loud instrument, Elias, but absence is the symphony that never ends. To be a ghost, you must first learn how to die in their eyes so you can live forever in their thoughts. Elias was no longer the student who fumbled with body language or stuttered in the face of authority. He was the protege. He had mastered the sovereign effect and the predator's instinct. But tonight, the battlefield was different. Tonight, he wasn't conquering a boardroom or a hotel lobby. He was invading a mind. His target was Clara Vance. She was the city's most formidable litigator, a woman whose brain functioned like a high-velocity computer. She had spent a decade dismantling men more powerful than Elias. She was immune to charm, allergic to weakness, and bored by directness. To her, men were either tools or obstacles. Elias arrived at the Aura, an invitation-only event for the intellectual elite. He didn't enter with a flourish. He utilized the shadow entrance technique. He moved to the furthest corner of the lounge, found a seat where the light didn't quite reach, and opened an old, leather-bound book. He didn't look at a single soul. He was the only person in the room who wasn't trying to be noticed. By refusing to participate in the social mating dance, Elias created a pattern break. In a room full of peacocks, the shadow becomes the most interesting thing to look at. Movement 2, the first contact, the push-pull. Clara Vance stood at the center of the room, surrounded by a circle of admirers. She was performing a cold scan of her own, effortlessly dismissing the desperate attempts for her attention. But her gaze kept snagging on the corner, on the man who wasn't looking at her. After an hour, curiosity, the most powerful human drug, forced her to move. She approached Elias, her footsteps confident on the marble floor. "The light is terrible for reading," she said, her voice sharp as a razor. Elias didn't look up immediately. He finished the sentence he was reading, counted to 3, and then slowly raised his eyes. This was the status tax. He didn't smile. He didn't offer a greeting. "The light is sufficient for those who know what they are looking for," Elias replied, his voice a low, gravelly vibration. He then immediately looked back down at his book. This was the push. He had acknowledged her, then immediately dismissed her. Clara, who was used to men growling at her feet, felt a physical jolt of irritation and fascination. Her brain, expecting a pull, validation, received a rejection. To resolve this tension, her dopamine levels spiked. "And what exactly are you looking for?" she asked, leaning into his personal space, an emotional domination tactic. Elias closed the book. He stood up, towering over her, but he didn't close the gap. He maintained a strategic distance. "I was looking for a reason to stay," Elias whispered, staring into her eyes with a look of clinical detachment. "But I think the wine has more depth than the conversation in this room. Good night, Clara." He walked away. He didn't ask her name. He didn't give his. He left her standing in the middle of the room, her heart racing not from love, but from the sheer audacity of his departure. This was the open loop. Movement 3, the echo chamber. Over the next 3 days, Elias did nothing. He didn't call, he didn't text, he didn't accidentally bump into her. He became a ghost. But while Elias was silent, Clara's mind was screaming. The human brain hates an unfinished story. Because he had terminated the interaction at the height of her interest, her subconscious was forced to replay the encounter to find a logical conclusion. She was trapped in the Zeigarnik effect, the psychological phenomenon where people remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed ones. Elias was practicing information scarcity. By providing her with zero data about who he was, Clara was forced to use her own imagination to fill in the blanks. And the human imagination always creates something more perfect than reality. He wasn't just a man anymore, he was a mystery she had to solve. On the fourth day, Elias sent a single gift to her office. It wasn't flowers. It was a single dried leaf from the same type of book he had been reading. No note, no name. This was the intermittent reinforcement. By providing a small, cryptic reward at an unpredictable time, he caused her dopamine receptors to fire even more intensely. She was becoming addicted to the mystery. Movement 4. The haunting. They met again at a rain-slicked balcony during a charity gala. This time, Clara sought him out. Her composure was gone, replaced by a frantic intellectual hunger. "You're a ghost," she said, her breath visible in the cold air. "A ghost is only someone you can't stop thinking about," Elias replied. He used advanced mirroring. He matched her breathing rate, her slight shiver, and the intensity of her gaze. He wasn't just talking to her, he was becoming an extension of her own nervous system. He began the cold scan. "You win every case, Clara. You have the best apartment, the best reputation, but when you go home, you turn on every light in the house because you're terrified of the one thing you can't litigate, the silence." It was a Barnum statement delivered with the weight of a death sentence. Clara felt a tear prick her eye. Her defensive walls, built over a decade, didn't just crack, they vaporized. Elias had found the psychological leak and inserted a needle. At the very moment she felt she had finally connected with him, when the pull was at its strongest, Elias checked his watch. "I have an appointment," Elias said, his voice returning to a cold, professional tone. "Now? It's midnight," she whispered, her hand reaching for his sleeve. Elias stepped back, breaking the physical contact. "Some things only happen in the dark, Clara. Don't try to follow the ghost. You'll only get lost in the shadows." He disappeared into the rain. He left her standing on the balcony, shivering not from the cold, but from the absolute void he left behind. He had successfully completed the ghost protocol. He was no longer a person to her, he was an obsession. As Elias walked toward his waiting car, the architect sat in the back seat, his eyes glowing in the dark. "You did well," the architect whispered, "but a ghost that stays too long becomes a guest, and a guest can be asked to leave. Now the real work begins. We must move from the mind to the soul." Elias looked at the city lights. He felt the weight of the invisible crown. He had broken Clara Vance, but he knew that a broken soul is a dangerous thing, and in the second part of this game, the price of failure would be his own sanity. The Ghost Protocol, Part 2, The Soul's Ransom. Movement VI, the withdrawal phase. The week following the gala was a masterclass in psychological deprivation. Elias didn't just disappear, he deleted his digital footprint in Clara's world. He blocked the paths she would take to find him. He was utilizing the black hole technique. In Part 1, he had established himself as an unforgettable presence. Now, in Part 2, he was transforming that presence into a painful absence. Clara Vance, the woman who never lost, was losing her mind. She wasn't eating. She was staring at her phone, waiting for a ghost to manifest. She was experiencing dopamine withdrawal because Elias had provided such high-intensity intellectual and emotional stimulation. Her normal life felt gray and lifeless. She was a psychological hostage. Elias watched her from afar, using the city's network of informants. He was waiting for the breaking point, the moment when her pride would finally be replaced by total submission. On the 10th day, when Clara was at her lowest, Elias appeared at her door. He didn't knock. He waited for her to come out for her morning coffee. When she saw him, she stopped breathing. Elias didn't apologize. He didn't explain where he had been. He utilized emotional domination. "You look tired, Clara," Elias said, his voice as smooth as velvet. The silence was louder than you expected, wasn't it? He walked into her apartment as if he owned it, the sovereign effect in its purest form. He sat in her favorite chair and gestured for her to sit opposite him. He was now the architect of her personal space. "I'm going to tell you why you can't stop thinking about me," Elias whispered, "and then I'm going to give you a choice." Elias began a deep-level soul scan. "You think you're in love with me, but you're not. You're in love with the version of yourself you see in my eyes, the version that isn't afraid, the version that doesn't have to win to feel worthy." This was identity reframing. By telling her what she was feeling before she could process it herself, he took control of her emotions.